and we will record this as well. So good evening. It's Thursday, February 4th. Here in Michigan, we're in the middle of a winter storm, so our friends that have not had much of a storm in winter, here are a little excited to do that. My name is Sue Peterson, and I'm with the Michigan District of Kiwanis. And every Thursday night, we hold a program called Kiwanis Let's Talk, where we invite special guests to join us. Tonight, we're excited to have with us the Reading is Fundamental team. Jennifer Moone is with us. She is going to talk a little bit about the partnership that Kiwanis International has and what is available to us as an organization. And we know that with the number of students that are still being at home schooled, right? Reading is very important in what we do. So I'll give you a little bit about Jennifer. She joined RIF in 2011. And I think that's how many of us know it as RIF, right?
Yeah, exactly.
In her role as the Senior Director of Marketing and Partnerships, she oversees RIF's work to spread awareness of the RIF mission and drive engagement among RIF's community of stakeholders. She's responsible for RIF's relationship on Capitol Hill and its many national civic and community partners. She works to bolster awareness of RIF's content, impact, and resources, and manages their array of communication channels and outreach at the grassroots and national levels. Prior to this, she worked with RIF's community focused on capacity building and program implementation with RIF's thousands of program sites. Before joining RIF, Jennifer worked as an associate at a government relations and public affairs firm, serving the firm's municipal and education clients on a broad range of legislative issues, including energy, appropriations, public safety, infrastructure, and transportation. She worked on behalf of firm clients to develop and implement their federal legislative agendas and helped to develop the firm's grant writing practices. That's good for us to know, grant writing. Prior to that, she held legislative and outreach roles at a national environmental nonprofit organization and worked in the office of Congressman Steny Hoyer of Maryland. Jennifer holds a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Maryland, College Park, where she majored in government and politics, as well as Spanish language and literature. She lives in Rockville, Maryland, with her husband and 2 children. So Jennifer, we want to welcome you tonight to Kiwanis Let's Talk on behalf of all the members that are with us this evening, so that all of you know that if you're joining us for the first time, we do record this session, and we'll put it up on the YouTube channel that the Michigan District of Kiwanis has. Give us a couple days. It usually takes me a couple days to get the format going and everything set up. And I have to make one last shout out before we get started, but my mom, Elaine, is joining us tonight. First time callers, I like to say on that one commercial show, right? But mom's with us tonight. I think she wants to see what I really am doing at night, It's because I tell her I'm really busy all the time. So thanks for being here, Mom. Jennifer, I will turn it over to you. If you have questions for her this evening, if you would put those in our chat, and we will ask her the questions throughout, and then there will be time at the end of the program so that we can catch up with Jennifer as well. So Jennifer, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great. Well, hi, Mom. I hope you find this entertaining and engaging and informative. So as you shared, I'm Jennifer. I'm our Senior Director of Marketing and Partnerships at Reading is Fundamental, and I am very thrilled to be with you all this evening and share with you about the RIF mission, our partnership with Kiwanis, and the resources and partnership opportunities we offer to you all. So many of you may know that Reading is Fundamental and Kiwanis have had a long history of partnership and in various formats over the years, and we are really thrilled to be one of the formal community partners with Kiwanis International at this time, and we have really enjoyed learning about and hearing from the Kiwanis community about the different ways you all are tackling the issue of literacy in your local community and the creative and innovative efforts. So without further ado, for folks who, let's see if I can get my slide going. There you go. So I wanted to start with just a brief history of Reading is Fundamental. We were founded in 1966 in Washington, D.C. We are the leading voice for children's literacy as a national nonprofit organization. You can see here that over our 5 decades, we've worked with millions of children, distributing millions of books in communities all across the country. This gives you a little snapshot of our current reach. So this really reflects the most recent fiscal year, more or less. And again, you can see that nationwide impact and the way that we distribute and help put books, digital literacy resources into the hands of millions of children each year. And this helps you sort of get that current snapshot of what our impact looks like and our network of partner sites and literacy advocates, volunteers who work with us. And really, we are able to drive our impact and deliver our resources through partnership. We work with sort of that full ecosystem of caregivers and partners that impact and support a child. So you can see here, it's schools and librarians, it's civic and community organizations and volunteers, it's the parents. We really sort of attack this from all angles in making sure that we're offering support for the child and helping to set them up for success. And we are truly focused on building a culture of literacy beyond the schoolhouse doors. So we know that there's a lot of work tremendous work that goes on in the classroom, and we are really focused on how we best support educators with engaging content and support their efforts to make sure children have access to books at home and build that home library. We're also equally as focused on supporting parents as the child's first teacher at home, making sure that parents are empowered and feel they understand the importance of and have the tools for developing that culture of literacy at home. So we again, we're really focused on this full spectrum of support that we can provide for a child, and that looks like physical books and building home libraries, and it looks like digital literacy support, content, engagement activities, and resources. We have an ebook service called Skybrary, and we have some apps that you can download on your phone. We have several digital platforms where we deliver our resources and our content to all of our stakeholders. So we do truly focus kind of in a full spectrum way on driving literacy impacts for children and making sure that they have the supports and resources they need to really be successful and to build that love of reading, to really showcase the joy of reading and help them feel engaged and motivated to read. So I think it's also important not only to understand who RIF is, what we do, but what does this current literacy landscape look like in America? Why does RIF exist? Because 25 million children in the US cannot read proficiently. And that is a truly staggering statistic that has far-reaching impacts for a child in their life. You know, the ability to enter school ready to learn how to read, and then reading to learn, nonfiction and informative texts, and to then go on and excel, and the impacts on high school dropout rates are really truly far-reaching if a child isn't able to read. So this is why RIF exists, is to tackle this literacy crisis, and we do feel that it's a crisis, but we feel that we know that with partnerships and with the support and resources that we drive into communities, we really do feel that we can make a difference together. This is another important measure. NAEP is the National Assessment of Educational Progress, and it's sort of the nation's report card, and it's the standard measurement across all states of how students are performing in their reading assessments. Fourth grade is one of the measures we look at really closely, and you can see that unfortunately over the last decade, reading performance for fourth grade students has remained largely unchanged. So there definitely is more work to be done. It's also helpful to really understand that we truly focus on the importance of access to books and access to a home library and a print-rich or literacy-rich environment, both at school and at home. And children living in impoverished communities don't have that. They don't have access to books at home. And I think until I started working at Reading is Fundamental, I would say that I probably didn't understand that and didn't realize how true that was, and how very important it is to setting children up for educational success, and how the research really points to that it seems simple, that simple truth of book ownership and book access can have such a tremendous impact on a child's reading proficiency, reading motivation, reading frequency, and reading engagement and excitement. So these are a couple of the things I called out earlier about entering school ready to learn. Only 34% of children are entering kindergarten ready to read in the US. And that statistic about fourth grade reading scores you see here, and the direct tie to high school dropout rates. And we also are showing that research says that when children have these book-rich homes, that it really can stem sort of this literacy crisis. And then beyond the educational impacts, there's the economic and societal impacts. There's unfortunately, prison pipeline for students who drop out, and then there's this really direct correlation to unfortunately incarceration in some cases. There's direct ties with workforce readiness, and so again, I started out saying that the implications are far-reaching. So RIF Cares, we work so hard to get books and resources and excitement and engagement and motivation from the earliest ages to sort of really intervene and to really support parents, educators, volunteers who care and who want to drive local literacy impact. And we know that that is so many Kiwanians who are already involved in literacy work or who want to get involved in literacy work. And you also know and share this understanding that reading is everything. It's the cost of entry. You cannot be a computer programmer, a dentist. You cannot work in any profession really without the ability to read. It's difficult to fulfill your medical prescriptions. It's to mail a letter. Obviously, there's all different kinds of facets of life, and so we truly believe that reading is everything. And so we believe that reading is fundamental and it's so important, and that's why we do this work. And that's why we really rely on and are deeply grateful to our partners like Kiwanis clubs around the country who take action with us. I thought it would be interesting just to showcase for you the idea that literacy can be integrated anytime, anywhere. So if you're a Kiwanis club that already has some service projects that really aren't focused on literacy, there is a way to weave literacy in. Or maybe you want to get really honed in on literacy, and we're going to talk about that in a minute too. But for us, we think about integrating literacy anytime, anywhere, because we think about at the breakfast tables, making sure you're taking time to read the back of the cereal box with your kid and talk about what letters they see and what shapes they see. And maybe at home, you're cooking a recipe and you're talking about measurements or the size of the little bowl compared to the large bowl. Those are the things that we think about with parents. And of course, in the classroom, literacy is everywhere. And there's, hopefully, there's bookshelves for lending libraries and lots of great reading time in the classroom, and teachers are superheroes right now for everything that they're doing, and there's something that everybody can do to sort of support literacy, and so this was just, I think these are a couple signature service projects that I found online that different Kiwanis clubs are doing. And I just wanted to share, this is a project that supports special needs children with I think it's like a minor league baseball team and project. And so, wouldn't it be wonderful? And maybe they're already doing this, so apologies if so, but if every child or every family that left this game got to walk away with a baseball book. Maybe on the jumbo screen before the game starts or at the very end of the game, there's a read aloud from a local celebrity or the mayor. Maybe there's a small family reading tent off to the side that when kids are getting antsy in their seats, that they get to go off and enjoy some, a read aloud tent and some engaging activities, decorate a bookmark. But, this isn't a tremendous impactful project already, but to overlay a literacy component is just something that we think is, it just makes sense whenever you're reaching families and children, whenever you're reaching educators, if there's a way that we can sort of integrate literacy, that's something we want to focus on. I just have two other quick examples. And again, I dug these up myself, but I know that there's a kids fishing clinic project. And for us, we think about how we can use books to cover topics that range from the really fun and exciting, think of your favorite children's book character and the imaginative places and journeys that took you on, but also think about how children's books can support social and emotional learning. So those maybe concepts of friendship and kindness and difficult social situations, and how children's books can help guide children through that. And in this case, think about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and how you can think of some informative text and some nonfiction texts that kids can walk away with from this fishing clinic. And the child that has whoever has the largest fish at the end gets to take home a small home library or small book bundle all about STEM topics, including fish, for their family, or to donate as a lending library to somewhere in their community in honor of this fishing clinic. So another simple way, and I'll just share one final idea. This is a big community strawberry festival, and a big annual event, brings the whole community together. And again, apologies if this is already something integrated, but what better way to show that the community is united and committed to supporting families in the community than having a special float that features a local author illustrator and their storybook character, or again, a reading tent with read alouds, and families can come and enjoy a story for every hour on the hour, and do a little local literacy craft like a bookmark project. Maybe again, with the strawberry focus, you think about cooking something together, a cooking demonstration, and there's just all different kinds of ways that you could incorporate literacy. But I just thought it was interesting to see what already is happening in the Kiwanis world and how you can integrate literacy. I also wanted to show you what kind of RIF looks like in action in different formats, just to give you a sense that there's no prescriptive way to implement or support the RIF mission. It looks different in all cases. So I know many Kiwanis clubs do have partnerships with local schools, Head Starts, YMCA's, Boys and Girls Clubs. They're going in, they're doing these read alouds, they're doing book distributions. This is just an example of what one of our book celebration events looks like inside a school library. We had, I think, a full grade in here, and the folks reading out front are actually a local corporate partner. So partnership for us is so key. So Kiwanis clubs, you do have those deep ties in the communities, and so maybe you do again have local government leadership, or the local fire chief, or the CEO of your local community bank, or I'm not sure, different opportunities to engage the community and sort of bring in and tie in those other topics, other careers. I think books are such a wonderful way to talk about careers and the future. What do you want to be when you grow up, and how reading is so important for that pathway. But this just gives you sort of a flavor of what it looks like in a school setting, could look like in a school setting, to bring a RIF book celebration to your community. This is a simple one. This is in the park. We do a lot of sort of outdoor events sometimes, and this was small and intimate, and the local, I think this is a police chief, was doing a read aloud for the kids, and off to the side there was a little bit of maybe face painting and book distribution. But this can be in the classroom setting, in a park. And this one, I think there was a campfire theme. I'm not sure the exact setting here, but they had little camp chairs, and they made a pretend campfire, and they were reading around the campfire. There's reading rodeos and reading on the beach reading on the beach with kids spread out their beach towels. Something that really gets kids engaged, takes, again, helps foster their imagination, makes reading really fun and magical. And we are really focused on how do we get them to choose the books that they get to take home, keep, build their home libraries, enjoy all of that engagement and motivation around reading, make it a true celebration of reading. And that's what we do with in the schools, with families and parents, and in really the entire community. So we'll make sure that you have these links handy. I'm not exactly sure if Sue's going to send this deck around, and I can also drop these links in the chat box. But we have, I mentioned some digital platforms, and on the left you'll see the links here. It's Literacy Central and Literacy Network. And Literacy Central is our free book resource platform. So if you were looking for support resources to accompany any children's book, nearly, that's you can. We hope you'll check out Literacy Central, and you're going to find coloring sheets and suggested craft projects and author read alouds, word puzzles, all kinds of resources, so that your club might decide, we're going to go into a school today and we're going to read If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, and we want to make sure that while we're there we have a coloring sheet that all the kids do, and then we want to foster family engagement, so we're going to make sure we print off this word puzzle that all the kids are going to take home in their backpacks. That all lives on Literacy Central for free. You might think to yourself, wow, it's Black History Month this month, and I need a suggested book to read aloud, or suggested titles that our club might want to purchase and give out to kids. Literacy Central offers book collections, which are suggested book lists, which include the accompanying resources. So Literacy Central is a really robust destination that we hope you'll explore and take advantage of. And Literacy Network is our community platform, or community portal. So if you're looking for sort of tips and tools and best practices on how to do your literacy work, we wanted to provide sort of turnkey solutions that live on Literacy Network. And so our Read Aloud guide, if you want the quick tips on how to host a read aloud and how to use your voices and change your voices and maybe wear a special hat while you're reading or a costume, our Read Aloud guide offers all that kind of guidance on Literacy Network. An event checklist, some things to consider when planning a book celebration event. You want to hold a book drive in your community. Here's the 5 ways to get started, based on our best practices. So these 2 destinations are really rich and robust with tips, tools, and free content that we want to offer to Kiwanis clubs. And so just to kind of sum up the ways that we can partner together and we can help, we do have ways that you can purchase books through us. And, if we could always work with you to get set up to purchase books that you want to distribute, but we know that, not everybody always has budgets to purchase books. So again, if you want to talk with us about how you want to organize a book drive, we've got, again, the toolkits and the guidance to help you do that. The free supplemental book resources, that's the Literacy Central platform that you're looking for. What kind of engaging materials can I use when I'm volunteering with kids, when I'm, trying to talk with parents in my community about, I'm at my, maybe you have a local book festival in your community. Maybe you have a strawberry festival in your community. What can I offer to parents and families to get them really excited about reading? Literacy Central is a great place to check out. And then again, all those kinds of tips and tools and best practices at Literacy Network. So access to all of those things come as part of our partnership. And then we have a dedicated team that's sort of available for brainstorming, pointing you in the right direction, understanding what your club's needs or desires or goals are, or helping to ideate and maybe again sort of point you in the right direction. But you want to plan your first ever community literacy celebration, let us chat with you and not only point you to some resources but give you some ideas of what we've seen works. You've got some volunteers and you want to get them a little bit trained on we've got some webinars on read aloud tips. We've got some ideas on how to organize your volunteers and what roles they might take on as part of a book celebration. So we offer kind of a comprehensive support team that is available to you to point you in the right direction, no matter what your club wants to do. And again, to my earlier slides, maybe your club really already has this service project that you're committed to, but you're thinking, can I add some literacy element to this? And yes, you can, and we'd love to talk to you about that. But maybe you're thinking, my club wants to just really laser focus on literacy right now, and we don't know what we want our project to be. We don't know where to begin. We can talk to you about that too. Or maybe you already have an idea, we can plug into that. So that's really, RIF can help. We have all these kinds of content and resources and a network of partners all around the country. So we are here to help. We offer a lot that is self-serve and turnkey. So we hope you'll take the time to dig through the different platforms and see what is helpful to you, but we also are here to help. I also want to make sure that I highlight that we do have a partnership page with Kiwanis International. It's a simple URL you see at the top there, rif.org/Kiwanis. And working with the Kiwanis International headquarters office, we curated just maybe the top 5 to 6 resources that we thought are most relevant to Kiwanis clubs. So perhaps you're not ready to dig through all of that other information I shared. Perhaps you want to sort of start on this page. Get a little bit oriented to what are the top 5 things that we'd recommend might be useful to your club. I really want to make sure that you know that we did streamline it for you. We did keep it simple here, and you can start on this page if you'd want to sort of understand, some tips and resources for getting involved with us. And that is a great destination for you to check out as well. So in closing, this is me. That's my contact information. Again, I am on our marketing and partnership side of the team, and I'm very happy to take calls and emails. And of course, we're going to take some questions in a moment. But again, I can also help connect you to more of our program support team who would be able to even support you further and get you set up with different resources. So that is that, and I'm happy to help with any information.
Well, wonderful, Jennifer. I can tell you that the questions have been flowing in. I want to say kind of like the snows here. So we'll make sure that I'm going to try to get to, I have questions in chat. I have questions, people have texted me questions, and I have questions in Q&A. So we're going to get through this. But you have Jennifer's email there. I have been putting in the chat the links that she's talked about, as well as the web pages for Kiwanis and the RIF partnership. And I think if you go to the RIF partnership page for Kiwanis, there is a lot of information there. And the big thing, like I picked right up on when I saw it, was like event in a box. I
Yes.
mean,
Yes.
things are put together for you. You know, how do you print the book plates out? You know, there's a flyer, there's a public relations thing. So everything is there. So you truly don't have to start from scratch.
Right. We don't want to, we want to make it simple for you, and we want to, we probably, we have a lot out there, but we did want to package it in a simplistic way that you want to get involved. Here's your three resources you need to get
Right.
started. So once you check out the website, hopefully it is that simple for you, but we're always happy to help.
So that's the big thing to know as we work with all the partners, is there is a representative that is assigned to Kiwanis International. You can always call Kiwanis International for that information if you don't have it, or you can go ahead and reach out to any of the pages, and there's information there. So, all right, so let's start with some questions. One of the things that I'm often asked, and I see it happening, we have there's several members in our group that are with us tonight that read virtually. Knowing that a lot of our students are attending class from home. Tell us about virtual reading, the benefits. Is that a good thing? Is it something we should look at a different way? What do you think?
No, I think it's a great thing right now, and I think we're hearing. We actually just completed a survey of 1,000 educators, and we'll release this results soon about COVID and literacy. And you know, right now teachers are just desperate to engage kids around reading, make sure that they're reading at home. Of course, they want print books in their hands, but I think any way that you can engage kids around reading right now is so very important to educators and to supporting kids and keeping them engaged. So I can't say that we have a specific how to read aloud on Zoom guide, right. But you know, our general best practices, we have a kind of a comprehensive read aloud guide. We have webinars, but that engagement, those voices, those costumes, showing the pictures, talking, you know, even pausing and asking kids to take a minute and see, you know, what do you see in these pictures, or what do you guess is going to happen next, or looking at the cover and what do you think this book is about, and afterwards, how did that book make you feel? As much as you can, not only bring the story to life, but engage kids in this discussion about the book. I think that's so very important right now, you know, just to build connection and as much as you can. Yeah.
And many times these students don't have the books. You're reading a book from your home or your
Mm-hmm.
wherever. How does that, do you think that's something we should be concerned about, that they don't have the book in front of them? You know, they can't follow along, or what do you recommend?
You know, I think there are many instances in which somebody's sort of, you can imagine a librarian or a classroom teacher is holding up the book and showing the pictures to the kid. They might not have the book in their hands to follow along. So I'd say as long as you're really taking the time to show the pictures, read slowly, go through the book together, I don't think that it's a problem that they don't have the book in their hands. If they did, that'd be fantastic, because you can
Right.
imagine where afterwards they're going to read it with mom and dad, and they're going to you know, remember something that happened during the read aloud, or they're going to talk about a different point. So I don't think it would be a fantastic benefit, but I don't think it's at all a detriment to not have that.
And so, and what about having the students, and I know a lot of this will run into with FERPA, you know, and and students being on the screen and stuff like that within their own class. But, you know, we've often wondered, what about the students reading to us?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
I think a lot of that goes based on the schools.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I'd say each school is going to have their guidelines about technology use for kids. And if it's not a school, if you're working with, you know, different kind of youth serving organization, right, that they would have to guide you probably on the different technology rights and releases, right, and media releases. So I'm not going to dip my toe into that water.
I'm with you. So what do
Yeah.
you think about, what about copyright stuff? Do you think we're going to run into any kind of issues with copyright? You know, we're just reading the book, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. So what we have learned and have experienced is that if you're using it for sort of private use, and let me just say this, I don't want to speak on behalf of publishers. I'm telling you my experience, and I you know, thus far, but if you're not broadly broadcasting, sharing for general public consumption, a book that if you're using sort of for more of a private use and for one-on-one with, I mean, one-on-one reading with students, maybe your Kiwanis Club has each member paired up with a student or a group of students, or
Right.
maybe, you're coordinating with the teacher, but so again, I'm not blessing anything
Right.
because I'm not
Right.
a publisher, but my understanding is that if you're not broadcasting it on your YouTube channel or your Facebook channel for the general public, but it's for that more specific use, that I think that I understand
Well,
that.
and I think the other thing that probably plays into that is you're not charging.
Right, exactly. And I
That
and I
would
will say Riff has been working very hard to get different publishing rights for our use of them because we
right.
are talking to the general public.
Right.
So we do jump through all those hoops.
Good. So yeah, I think that's something we just have to we work within, being in this time of COVID where we're not allowed in the schools, right? And
Yep.
you can't go in like you used to be able to go into a school and read to the kindergarten class.
Mhm.
It is like, how do you do this? And I think everybody, as we all know, for the last year has been trying to figure all this out.
Yeah, I just would share one other thing, and I'm sorry that I didn't include it. We do have some specific virtual volunteerism suggestions. Read aloud
Oh,
via
okay.
Zoom or something. I'm gonna drop it into the chat box for 1 second, or I can send it to you,
Perfect.
Sue. But I mean, they're simple things, but things like making a book character puppet out of like a sandwich bag or something like that.
Right.
But you can see where if your club really everybody's at home and you all want to decorate a bookmark with an inspirational message to keep reading. Reading helps you achieve your dreams. If you don't read, you can't be a leader. Those kinds of things. And I hope I hope you keep reading. If each club member decorated a bookmark and then you bundled it together and you worked with your local elementary school to distribute to the kids,
Right.
like that's impactful that a caring adult took the time to make that.
To do that. Right.
These book character puppets where that would be not only fun for a child to receive, but can you imagine it being part of your read aloud experience where your club has made these character puppets and then the kid has them, and so maybe they don't have the book in front of them, but they've got their puppet and they can talk along
Right.
with you
Right.
while you're reading. So you can think about it that way. We have had to get creative about how we get things into the hands of kids, but most often if you contact the school, there's meal distributions, homework
Mhm.
packet pickups, a teacher who's willing to do drop-offs to kids, and we've found a way.
Well, and think about giving the kids the paper bag and the crayons or whatever, and letting them make the puppet while you're reading the book. I
Right,
mean,
right, exactly,
involve them in
exactly.
a different way. Another question: how can RIF help us provide books that reflect diversity in our own communities?
That is a fantastic question. RIF is utterly committed to diversity in children's books. For all of our years, we've always known the importance of children seeing themselves in the books that they're reading, and also gaining understandings about other cultures and life experiences through books. So we know how critically important that is. And I'll also just share that more recently, we've launched a race equity and inclusion initiative where we're really focused on finding books and developing content that help harness the power of books for positive impact and
Right.
change. And so all that to say, I mean, we can start again with February, Black History Month. We've got a
Right.
fantastic book collection on Literacy Central for Black History Month. If you check out our Facebook page this month, every day at noon, we're featuring a read aloud from Black authors featuring Black voices and life experiences. And again, so we can suggest book titles through Literacy
Right.
Central. Our bookstore is rich with those books, and it's something that we're really committed to.
And though we'll build off of that. When dealing with kids of a different culture, do you recommend that we provide books in their native language, or that they are in English or the language of the school?
That is a great question. For me, I'd say that's something that you would want to discuss with the educator or the parent of what their need is. And when we're working in communities across the country, and we've worked in very many bilingual schools, and we really look to the teacher for guidance if they say like our kids would love Spanish language books to
Right.
take home and read with their parents, or they say we really need English language books for them that are maybe at a little bit of an easier level, but it's something to really consult with your community on.
And I know the Detroit Number One Club, the Kiwanis Club in Detroit, has a huge book project that they do, and that was one of the things that times I've been down there to volunteer is that when they provide books, a lot of those books go to the parents, and that's the way they learn to read as well.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So I think it's for us we're really not prescriptive. We provide all these tools and resources and ideas, but it's really what fits your club's need and your community's need,
Right.
and taking it that way.
Right. Is there a way that to select certain topics or books for certain ages?
Yes, for sure. So if you're talking about, I'm going to give two examples. Literacy Central book resource platform. So it doesn't offer any books, but offers all those support materials I gave examples of, and activity sheets. You can search by title and author and theme and genre and grade and everything. You can search it any which way you want. Separately, we have an online bookstore where you can actually purchase the books. And same thing, it's much like an Amazon experience, and you can sort and filter in all different ways. So I want to share that there's two different kinds of platforms here we're talking about. One's for the support resources, one's for the books themselves. Both of them are very searchable.
Okay. So, all right. So now we're into the other section of all the questions that keep
Yeah.
adding in here.
Yeah.
What types of books would be best to supplement what kids are already getting at school?
For us, it's the high interest books. I mean, we believe that if you can get a child to pick up that book and get engaged and get excited about reading, then that's great. So again, we say to the child, what are you interested in? If you're interested in sharks, if you're interested in comic books and graphic novels, if you're interested in spiders or fairies, I mean, not that we don't care what book you're reading, but
Right.
it's about empowerment of choosing the book that a
Mhm.
child is interested in, and that power of choice drives motivation. So when we distribute books, we very rarely pick one title or 5 titles. We pick 20 to 30 titles, and not just a couple copies of each, but we offer a huge variety at one of our book celebration events, so that children really get to choose a book that speaks to them, and that they're excited to read.
And I know a lot of our clubs, do the dictionary project, or as
Mm-hmm.
one of our other projects, and a lot of times this is the first book that child receives.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Mm-hmm.
it's the third grade level or the second grade level, a lot of times that is the first book they get. It's actually a book that they can call their own.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And
Yes.
and those are the best thank you notes to read afterwards, because they typically misspell all the words,
Yes.
but they've taken that book and they've owned that book. That's theirs.
Yeah, it's 100% true.
Right. So if you have an event coming up this spring, Library Central would probably be the best place to start on how to incorporate books into an event. Would you recommend
Yes,
that?
yes, I'd say so. Yes, if you have an event and you're looking for that, that's a great place to start. And if you want to send us an email and tell us what your event is, again, we can maybe even point you in the right direction. But we really encourage you to check out, hopefully there's some great stuff there that you
Right.
can find.
Right. I noticed that there's a program called Skybrary, and
Yes.
we've got friends from Jamaica and friends from Australia on the call, and some friends from Canada with us today. What is RIF's reach outside of the U.S.?
That is a great question. So we are US based only, which I regret, because I know we've got great friends that are outside of the US. I am going to be incredibly honest. Let me tell you. So Skybrary comes from LeVar Burton of Reading Rainbow
Okay.
fame. After he finished Reading Rainbow, he started Skybrary, this ebook service, and he did that for a couple of years, and then he decided to move on to a new endeavor. And he actually gifted Skybrary to
Okay.
Reading is Fundamental. So thank you, LeVar. And so it's a bit newer for us, if I'm going to be honest, and I have to ask what the usage is outside of the US. I will follow up with you and find
Right.
out. As a nonprofit organization, our mission is US based and our work is US based. I will find out if there's any way to utilize Skybrary outside of the US.
Okay. Great. And what we can do is we'll make sure that we put this information for those of you that are with us. If we have the information by next week, we'll bring it back up next week, and I'll share that before we have
Yeah,
our presenter next week, so we can do
fantastic.
that.
Oh,
And that way, our friends from Jamaica can find out. I mean, if you can get to the website, there's all kinds of tools and stuff on there to use.
yes.
It's just a matter that they're,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Literacy Central, Literacy Network are completely free for anybody to access. So again, that's exactly right. If you're looking for those resources and best practices, that is available for anybody, anywhere, and we would love for you to take advantage of it.
That's right. It's there. It's on the web, as
Yep.
we say, the World Wide Web. We have a couple clubs that work with several groups to improve literacy. Our biggest challenge is getting new and used books to distribute to our partners. Is there a way to get, I know on RIF, the books run on average between $2 to $5, but you pay $3 for them. if you are part of the program that's available through the Kiwanis organization.
Yeah.
At least that's what I read. So a club could purchase them,
Yeah. Yes.
to give them away.
Yep.
And are you aware of any new or used places that people could look for books?
Yeah, so that's a good point. So books through us and using our bookstore is $3 a book. Every single book right now in our bookstore is $3 a book. I can't swear that that won't change at some point, and we
Right,
won't announce it widely, but $3 a book through us. Um, Other great sources of books, because we're all in this together and we all, like-minded organizations. You might check out First Book. They're another not literacy nonprofit that has an online book marketplace. Those are new books for purchase. Many communities have book banks. So I'm familiar with, just as in some examples, there's a Cleveland Book Bank, there's the Maryland Book Bank, there's the Bernie's Book Bank in Chicago, and many of those will have sort of community open days where you can come with your crates and your totes and come
right.
and fill those up. So that's a great source for books. Um, I mean, we don't necessarily source the used books, but we really do help facilitate many, 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 many book drives. We often go for new books, but we don't at all discourage used books.
Right.
So again, calling on your community and looking to all those various people who care and have wonderful books, that maybe are collecting dust. A book drive is a great idea.
Well, and I think about places like the Salvation Army and
Yeah,
Volunteers of America, where they have
yeah,
books. They may be able to build a partnership there where they're willing to donate, those
exactly.
books
Yeah,
to the club, as
yeah.
well as someone, Kathy from Pennsylvania said there's a place called Cops and Kids in
Ah,
Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, that has free books. I'm
yeah,
thinking about, I know libraries have book sales, right? They try
right.
because they
Like the Friends of the Library
Friends of the
has a book
library,
sale. Yes.
right?
And I'd say, it's a good point that just to sort of look to your community and I mean, I just love that you said cops and kids. There's just so many different opportunities to infuse
Right.
literacy and to explore it. So I'd say one other idea I have is we just do have this really broad network of partners all around the country. So let's say you're struggling with who to collaborate with in
Right.
your community. Let us know, and maybe we have somebody existing that we can hook you up with, and maybe they're a local literacy organization, book bank, or other kind of group that we can help connect the dots for you.
Well, and I think when we do programs like this, I learn so much from everybody else. And one of our participants tonight said some of the homeschool groups have a yearly book sale or book exchange.
Ah,
Homeschool parents can trade in texts for those they need for the following year. So there's another opportunity
fantastic!
that you
Yes.
may be able to check with is your homeschools. I know a number of clubs, including my own, when we provide dictionaries as a thesaurus, we give them as well to the homeschool and the parochial and everything else. So it's not just it just doesn't go to the public schools, but we make sure those books get out. Somebody else says many dollar stores have good books, kids
Yeah.
books for a
Yeah.
dollar.
That's true. That's
Uh,
true. That's a fantastic idea.
I will tell you, there's the Ann Arbor, Michigan Kiwanis Club has a huge thrift store, and I know when they're open, I'm sure they're open now, but there's another way. They have a lot of gently used books that people donate to them that they can very easily distribute, and or you go in there. But I'm thinking you can go into a lot of places for books now. And I think, in fact, I was with my mom one day. We were at kind of like at a flea market place, and there were books all over the place for 25, 50 cents. And you think about that, for $5 or $10 you can pick up a ton of books.
Right, right. It's true. And yeah, I think those different partnerships and opportunities in your community and thinking about how you can get those to kids, it's a fantastic
Right.
idea.
It's we as we think about it, it's thinking outside the box, which we've all done for the last year, right? How
Yes,
do we do that? How do we provide them? And the cleaning of the books and etc. Another point that I know on the website when I was going through it the other day was the fact that there is a place where you can donate to Reading is Fundamental, who will
yes,
help provide books to children in need.
that
So
is
there
exactly.
are opportunities there that you can give a gift to Reading is Fundamental, be a supporter of their program, whether you want to give it yourself or give it in honor of someone. But here's another way that unfortunately, we know we're not in every city, in every country, in every state. But if there's a way that people are willing to make that donation, to help someplace outside their communities, we know being a global organization, there's that opportunity as well. So there's a lot of ways that as a Kiwanis Club, in our districts and our divisions, that we truly can be helpful. And it may not take a lot. It just takes someone to get on the website, Riff is, riff.org and look at it. And I know when I was on it earlier today, I'm like, there's so much information here. And it's the things you think about that, okay, we'd love to do an event, or we'd like to have a reading corner. And
Yep.
I look at the number of, we're having some new elementary schools being built in our community. And you think about, okay, I wonder if what did they include in there? Can we help put books in that school? Or they're building a new hospital area. What if we put books, in the kids area, in the
That
hospital?
Yes, I mean, that has been some of our more impactful partnerships is in hospitals, in homeless shelters,
Right,
we really have worked in some sort of, you might think they're unique or innovative partnerships or settings, but think about any space that a child is. You probably have heard of the big movement around laundromats and barbershops
right,
and putting reading corners in there. Think of where you can reach parents and families. I mean, frankly, we have a partnership with Starbucks and a couple of Starbucks stores on the East Coast, and we put reading corners into Starbucks. We have a partnership with McDonald's, and we put books into the Happy Meals. You have to just, again, we don't want to put all the work on you all. We want to
right,
really take on that work and give you the tools. But if you have an idea or something in your community where you can think of, gosh, we could put a book corner in there and then a
right.
lending library in there, or we could hold a little event there as part of this community thing that happens every year. Like, we would love to help you make that happen, because it is reaching parents and families and children where they are in schools and also
Right.
just in the community. So yeah, I
Well,
think you're
and I think
exactly right.
about the clubs that either are involved in the backpack program
Hmm.
for families, or they deliver meals. If you had the books, how easy that would be to just put them out, and they get a book, right?
Yep,
And if
exactly.
they want to bring it back, or the books. I mean, I love the idea of some of the projects are already ongoing.
Yep,
The baseball park, or I
yep.
mean, when we get back into being
Real
much
life.
more right, when we get back into the fact that we can do things outside of it. But there's so many opportunities there. And I know
Yeah.
I know people that give them to the doctor's offices, in the pediatric offices, and the hospital. I mean, there's just so many places. It's just thinking someplace else.
Yeah, and I'd say, I am mindful that things are not normal right now and you can't go to all these places and be in these big crowds as you usually have. So I love that idea of reading aloud on Zoom or whatever platform. I also think about, sometimes it's just talking to the local YMCA, the local, school,
Right,
and sort of what opportunities do they have. I don't, some communities are a little bit more open than others, and maybe there is an opportunity as it warms up to do something outdoors, distanced, maxed, whatever, safe, of
right.
course. But I think there you can get a little creative. It's all about creativity and pivoting and all that right
Right, and I
now.
was just thinking I know a club that has given out face masks to all the kids in the elementary school. How
Hmm.
cool would that be if you could wrap a book in it, right? I mean,
Yeah,
something simple.
exactly.
And I know we all have members in our clubs that are willing to, help support those things.
Yeah,
As we always say, if you don't ask for the money, right, no one's going to give it to you.
yeah, yeah.
You never know, but there's so many opportunities out there. And we think about, we've had a few people like talk to us about how informative it is. Really, it's a matter of being with other people, and there are people from all over the world on this call tonight who are just putting their thoughts out there, right? Hey, I mean, think about how if you take that thought, where you can go with it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And like you said, go to the Reading is Fundamental Facebook page.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'd say, we learn from our community every day, and our
Right,
community is Kiwanis clubs, and it is junior leagues, and it is teachers and parents, and it is the community that is doing these things that we're capturing, and we're like, wow, that is a fantastic idea. And
right.
wow, other communities can do that. So, it's just by building these networks and building these relationships and partnerships that we've been around for, since 1966,
Right.
honestly.
And Kiwanis, we do have a partnership with Dollar, one of the dollar stores, and I won't quote it because I don't remember. Somebody probably can put it in there, but I'm sure that you could go to their website, and get books through them as well. Or I know oftentimes they give away gift cards. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
thinking of things
Hmm.
like that you could very easily do, but
Yep,
it's
yep,
it's a matter of someone being focused, right? And not that we all don't have enough other things to do, but if someone starts picking it up, I know I'm always picking up at the store, like for Christmas, the holidays, like gloves and
yep,
hats and mittens, or
yeah,
mom's knitting them or crocheting them, right? Dollar days. Thanks, Daryl and Kathy. See, they all knew. I'm like, I can't, you can't keep track of it all. But there's things like that that you can do all year long.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So yeah, so we are here to support, to be a resource, to be a convener, to provide this, and we look forward to all the good ideas, the good questions, the opportunities to collaborate.
So we'll take this or I will put your PowerPoint up. If you want to send
Yep.
it to me, we'll put it out there. We will also make this video available, the recording available on the Kiwanis of Michigan YouTube page. We have a channel out there for our Thursday night Kiwanis Let's Talk programs. And we also will put it on our Facebook page. So there'll be plenty of opportunities there. And most people know they can, I always put it on my Facebook page so people can look at it there. And you always have Jennifer. Jennifer's a phone call or an email
Yeah.
away, and I will tell you that she's very responsive to emails. And it's like, okay, what do you need? So the information is here, and what a great partnership to start now. During this time that can continue on, and what a great way to bring in your Key Clubbers and your Circle K members, and your Builders Club and your K Kids. There's a lot of different ways to do that. Here we
Yeah.
go. So we've got reading and rhymes on the Detroit River. The library book mobile is up and running. Dollar General has a literacy grant. Last year they sold cool yellow sunglasses. So imagine get your sunglasses. This year they're selling chocolate candy bars at the register that they're using for their literacy program. And I have heard that there are a lot more mobile bookmobiles. I remember the bookmobile coming to the school,
Yeah.
right? Big.
Riff had a bookmobile back in the day as well, or
Right,
several.
right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some of that's back out now
Yes, it is,
because
and
people are
it's tremendous for more, as you can imagine, for more rural or spread out communities that it's hard to believe. Just like you wouldn't believe how few kids have a home library in some communities.
right,
The public library, I mean, some of them are really under resourced
right,
or shutting down, and so things like a bookmobile are tremendous. And I just you brought to mind just one other thing when you talk about the Key Clubbers and the other various kinds of Kiwanians and different ages and
right,
stages. We just have the most innovative of stories and
right,
collaborations of tutoring. So Kiwanis Club sets up an opportunity, and they bring in their high school students to tutor the younger kids, and that sort of different intergenerational
right,
opportunity to partner. And or you've got these kids who will go out in the community and they'll do a car wash or bake sale to raise funds so that the
right.
Kiwanis Club can then buy the book. So again, we just love to learn and hear about the different ways people approach this. And you're exactly right. It's a now more than ever, we are hearing that reading is just one of the most key concerns that parents and educators have during this pandemic. And I'd say there is no wrong way to
Right,
tackle it
right.
and to think about engaging in it. And now is the time, and we're going to have to tackle it for a long time after.
That's right. And I want
Yeah.
to give a shout out to Daryl, who's with us this evening from Georgia. Daryl has read 419 books online over the last. So he actually reads books to kids. 419 since we've been in this pandemic.
Wow.
So
That's
here's a
tremendous.
person. It's a great thing for him to do. And I will tell you that I've always got a book on my. This is a new book that just came in. Actually, just came in yesterday. But books on my desk, and I'm sure I'm like many who over this time have thought, okay, what do I do? How many books we've picked up and read,
Yep. Yep.
and they're out there, and I could hold a book sale in my own house.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they're not all kids' books, but there's a great way as well to give that information out there.
Yeah, and everybody, all individual club, everybody can take some action to have an impact, and
That's
Daryl's
right.
doing that.
And as we always say, we all speak the language of service all over the world. That's what we do as Kiwanis members. And, just thinking about those things and how we can make a difference. You may be one person, but when we do it all together, the impact we can have around the world.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
There's so much there. And my friend Jerry just put on there that here in Michigan, we return our pop bottles, okay, our soda bottles, wherever you want to be, right? That's
Yeah.
10 cents a bottle, right? Imagine if you could collect pop bottles, I know, and turn those back in, and what you could get. You're limited to $25 a day though, but still,
Yeah. Yeah. Right. It would go a long way
it
to
would go a long
serving
way.
you can think about that dollar store, and you can
Ex-
serve a whole classroom, 25 kids in a
exactly.
classroom for sure.
Exactly. And there's all kinds of ways to do it. I think it's the creative moment that we need to this is one of those things that gets us all going, right? We're all
Yeah.
together now. It's like, oh my gosh, okay, we can do this and this and this. You're writing out all the notes, and that's usually what I get. People are like, okay, I gotta watch the recording again. I'm like, we'll make sure it's well there for you. So, with that, Jennifer, I want to thank you for being with us this evening. It's been great to chat with you, and we've got lots of great comments coming in our chat. We will make sure this information is available to everyone. I encourage you to check with Jennifer, and I would think that if we hold our Kiwanis International Convention in Salt Lake City in person, that we will be there, right?
Yes, yes.
We will be there. So another opportunity to catch up. But
Yeah.
like I said, Jennifer and I met over Zoom, right? How hard
Yeah.
is it? So make a
No.
phone call, send an email. With that, there's a lot of ways to connect with your other clubs, connect with the people that are on this call. So thank you very much for being with us tonight, Jennifer. I appreciate that.
Thank
We
you so much for the
appreciate,
opportunity. It was so nice to chat
yes,
with you all and hear from you all. And thank you again.
great questions. And we appreciate what Reading is Fundamental is doing. And thank you for being with us this evening. We will see you next Thursday, same time, same place, same code. Jason Barger will with us talking about thermostat cultures, setting a temperature for 2021. And then February 18th, Kathy Tuddy, who is the governor of the Montana District of Kiwanis, will be talking about finding your why. So we, as I tell everybody every week, we are well booked into June and July, and we've booked some other authors. Actually, we've booked some authors coming up. So our
Fantastic.
program continues to grow. We will thank you for that. Please be safe wherever you are and under what weather conditions you are. Take care of yourself, social distance, do all that good stuff you're supposed to do. And we'll see you next week on Kiwanis Let's Talk. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.